Introduction. The Battle of Antietam, north, or Sharpsburg, south, was the bloodiest single day of fighting recorded during the American Civil War. Nearly 23,000 men were recorded on the casualty roster of both armies. The way it all came about was after the Battle of Chantilly, Robert E. Lee decided to change up his strategy. Rather than fight the Union troops in Virginia and spend all his energy defending Richmond, Lee decided to move the battle closer to Washington. On September 4th, he led the Army of Northern Virginia into Maryland. Once across the border, Lee made a risky move and divided his army into 4 parts. General James Longstreet traveled to Boonesboro, then Hagerstown, to put down a supposed threat there. D.H. Hill and Jeb Stuart stood guard in the rear at South Mountain, while Stonewall Jackson marched his division to Harper's Ferry, where they hoped to capture the Union arsenal. The Union Army hit the Holy Grail on September 13th, when Corporal Barton Mitchell of the 27th Indiana Infantry found a copy of Lee's Special Order 191 wrapped around 3 cigars. It provided McClellan with a road map to the Confederates' Maryland campaign. The next day, Union forces faced Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia in the Battle of South Mountain. It consisted of 3 separate battles: Crampton's Gap, Turner's Gap, and Fox's Gap. Union troops turned the Confederates back at Crampton's Gap. After stubborn fighting, Lee withdrew his forces from Turner's Gap and Fox's Gap and moved his men to Sharpsburg for a final stand. General James Longstreet said his command and that of D.H. Hill arrived at Sharpsburg on the afternoon of September 15th. Union troops appeared on the heights above Antietam Creek later that afternoon. The number increased, and larger grew the field of blue until it seemed to stretch as far as the eye could see. It was an awe-inspiring spectacle. While all this was going on, Stonewall Jackson captured the garrison at Harper's Ferry and took 12,000 Union troops captive. After he learned about the capture of Harper's Ferry, Lee ordered Jackson to march to Sharpsburg. Longstreet wanted to call it quits. "It was then evident we could not hope to concentrate in time to do more than make a respectable retreat," he wrote, "whereas by retiring before the battle we could have claimed a very successful campaign." Robert E. Lee wouldn't hear any of that talk. He was itching for a battle. The next day, September 17, 1862, the 2 armies met at Antietam Creek. When it was over, the 2 armies would record almost 23,000 casualties. Over 5,500 occurred on the sunken road, ever since known as Bloody Lane. Both sides considered Antietam a victory. Robert E. Lee because he held Sharpsburg at the end of the day. George McClellan because Lee abandoned the field and returned to Virginia. Most historians consider Antietam a drawn battle. It was considered a strategic victory for the Union because Confederate troops withdrew from the field first, but it was tactically inconclusive. Abraham Lincoln considered the victory as a mixed blessing. It gave him the juice he needed to release his partial Emancipation Proclamation, but nothing else sat right with him. McClellan may have won the battle, but he lost the war. If McClellan had fought another battle, Lincoln felt the entire Confederacy might have collapsed. But try as he might, he couldn't get Little Mac to follow Lee's troops into Virginia. Finally, Lincoln tired of arguing with McClellan and replaced him with General Ambrose Burnside on November 7th. This book is a quick history of the Antietam campaign. In less than an hour, you will meet the major players, learn how the battle came about, and understand the significance of Antietam. For readers who want to know more, I've included the first complete reports of the battle as they appeared in the New York Herald and the New York Tribune. While not entirely accurate, they let you experience the war the same way contemporary readers learned of it. Let's get started.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.